Welcome to Truckee Talks. I'm your host, Maya Schneider, and tonight it's my distinct privilege to bring you the chief of our fire district, Mike Terwilliger. Chief, welcome to the show.
Good evening.
It's nice to have you here. I know we talked about you coming in your civilian clothes so we could ask you all kinds of civilian questions. We're going to do that anyway.
That's fine.
It's nice to have you here.
Yeah.
Twig, tell us a little, I'm sorry, Twig is a nickname of yours used throughout town. I'm going to take liberty with it tonight.
Please do.
Thanks. What do, let's go to the beginning, Twig. Where were you born? Where do you hail from?
I was born in Carmel, California.
Oh, a nice little town.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, was when I went back there a couple years ago, the hospital I was born in is an insane asylum now.
That may be appropriate.
Yes.
I think there are a number of people in town that would say, yes, that's fitting.
So I'm not an artist either. So.
Do you have family down there still? Or?
No, it was, my parents were traveling through that part of the country when I was born in the fire service.
Did you know when you were growing up that you wanted to have something to do with the fire protection? Or?
Oh, absolutely. My father was a firefighter, and it's probably not that unusual in the fire service. In fact, if you look at the September 11th deal in New York, the families that were impacted by that, all the firefighters killed, fathers, grandfathers, firefighters. And so it was just a natural thing for me, but there's a unique twist to it in that I spent my summers as a kid riding with him. From when I was 4.5 until I was 16, in the summers going to fires with him, and it was just natural. So I was kind of born to it, I guess.
Was there ever anything else you wanted to do when you went to school? Did you think about doing something else?
I thought about being a police officer, but I felt that being a firefighter was more of a noble profession. So just kidding.
One of our volunteers back there is a police officer, so you may be
either
in trouble.
police officer or fish and game, as a matter of fact, but fire was just a calling. I just grew up with it.
And that's where you stayed.
And that's where I stayed.
And how long have you been with Truckee?
Truckee Fire?
Mm-hmm.
I left CDF in spring of 1996 to go to work for Truckee.
You've been up here in this area for how long?
October of '91.
And you and your wife, Lindy?
Yeah, we moved up here then. It was when I worked with the state, and it was just a lateral transfer opportunity. I'd lived with a family that owned Cottage Pines on Donner Lake back in the late 60s, early 70s. In the summers, teaching guests to water ski and that kind of thing. And so, when the opportunity Truckee came up,
it was like a homecoming.
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
So you've seen some changes in Truckee since you've been here?
None.
Then you haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, I've seen a few changes.
What do you think about all those changes, Twig?
It's kind of funny is that I don't see the changes that people talk about a lot. The growth, the development, lack of development, Kmart's, no Kmart's or whatever, is the thing that hasn't changed and remains the same is the reason people come to Truckee for the first place, and its location. And it really boils down to, it doesn't matter what's here, if there's 50,000 houses or 10,000 houses, it's still, Truckee hasn't changed since the day the railroad came here and somebody decided to open a store. And so in the sense of positive changes, the positive change is nothing's changed in Truckee. It's always been the same in the sense of the location. And the rest of it doesn't bother me either way.
You must have changed your job somewhat. I'm looking back here at one of our backdrop pictures of one of your trucks and some of your personnel. You've had to grow the fire district some.
Well, with that being said, is the wonderful location. It's a great place to be, but the community grows, so the public services have to grow. So the changes of the fire department in the last 10 years have been significant. The budget's gone from $1 million to $4 million. From 6 employees to 30 full-time and 15 part-time, and still climbing. It's just the community as far as the service needs are in all aspects is really growing.
And you have a fleet of volunteers out there, don't you? How many?
Well, you know, the old term of volunteer in the fire service used to be the person that was cutting your hair and threw their apron on the ground and ran outside when the fire call went off. And that's what Truckee was back in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. But the level of training required and the EMS and ambulance calls and such is it's primary full-time career firefighters and part-time employees. And the true volunteer is really something that's gone by the wayside here.
Let me ask you something. You mentioned this, and I've been wanting to ask you anyway. On a personal note, how did the events of September 11th affect you?
It affected me a lot of different ways. In the grandiose scale, is it made me proud to be a firefighter. In that, I think when everything else failed, as the firefighters were still there, and then it gave me an increased awareness of the exposure in public service and emergency services, and how bizarre things can happen, how quickly they can go bad.
Yeah.
There was a tape on CBS recently of a videotape of some French photographers that were in the lobby of the World Trade Center that put a new perspective on the thing, and just fabulous job that Fire Department of New York did.
Must be intense to see some of those pictures.
That's terrible.
Terwilliger, on the 14th of September, then Mayor Don McCormick held a community assembly in the wake of the events of September 11th. And I remember you got up to speak, and one of the things that you said that had an impact on me was hug a firefighter today and then do it again in a few months.
Yeah, and the intent with that was, I think, you know, I'll say this, and I do say this quite a bit in every chance I get, is that police officers and firefighters, and probably nurses and doctors and such, you can take them for granted, I think, and then something like that occurs and we lose 343 of them, and everybody's ready to donate and, oh my gosh, and hug the firefighters. And I just want to let them know that 6 months from now, when there's something else going on, is don't forget that these people are still out at 3 o'clock in the morning dealing with issues while you're snuggled in your bed. And it's, and I think we lose focus sometime of what these people are willing to do. And then they get paid well and all, but they're risking their lives, literally. And so it's important to recognize that.
Yeah, I think something that you said, and I've heard a number of times since then, was you're rushing in when everybody else is rushing out. And
yeah, to a certain extent, yeah, that's what we're doing. And we have one of the most misunderstood occupations. It's one of the few jobs that people can volunteer. So consequently, everybody you talk to says, oh, my brother was a firefighter, or I was a volunteer. And people truly, I don't think, fully understand exactly what's going on in the structure and organization it takes and the risks, you know, calculated risks. So it's just kind of a reminder, everybody, as you're really high on your fire department, your police officers right now, just stay that way.
What are some of the myths, Twig? What are some of the myths that people hold, or the misperceptions that they have about your profession?
That basically we just show up and squirt water at it. And
no training, no education, no technical expertise.
I don't think they understand that the thousands of hours of required training and the diversity. My firefighters they have to be versed in swift water rescue, high angle rescue, low angle rescue, hazardous materials, confined space, bloodborne pathogens, EMS, paramedic, structure fires, car fires, vegetation fires, and every one of those things is a discipline unto itself and a lifetime of learning, and they have to make that decision in a split second when they pull up in every situation. So your kitchen may be on fire and you go, why don't they just go squirt water on it? But for us, the boogeyman may be in there and we get killed if we just run in the house. And so it's a lot of people misunderstand the things that we do. And I'll say that for the police officers. They don't get it. Why do they approach a car to the side when it's just me? Well, the last guy had a gun. And
it wasn't just you. There was somebody hiding under the front seat.
So, you know, I don't think they fully understand some of the stuff we do.
And I'm not sure that you can ever fully educate them. It would take the same degree of education, perhaps, that your own staff has.
Well, I think it's more as just be patient and understand as it's an organized event and we're following steps. If it doesn't make sense to you, just be patient and watch, and it will make sense after a while.
Twig, what do you love about your job?
diversity. It's exciting. 97% of what I do is administrative, but the 3% of what I do is a lot of fun. And I mean, I enjoy helping people and doing the right thing, and that's probably the motherhood and apple pie thing to say, but it's not boring.
Yeah, I'll bet it's not.
I mean, you don't know what you're going to be dealing with, and so it's exciting.
As chief, though, don't you have to deal with other bureaucracies and with administration and personnel? Does that get dry? Do you miss being out in the field?
To a certain extent, yes, but there's a lot of challenges in that. As you well know, working in local government, there's some real satisfying challenges working through all the, I call it politics or bureaucratic swell, as I like to call it, as we watch these things escalate. And yeah, so I get a lot of pleasure in trying to do that as well. I mean, it's different than just going out and beating on fires or rescuing people.
That's right. Challenge is a different part of your skills or skill base.
Yeah, and I did that for a lot of years, and I'm enjoying this part of it as well.
So who is Twig the private man? What do you do for hobbies or outside activities?
It's interesting. One of your police officers / cameramen and I were just talking, is one of my passions is riding motorcycles, and I was pleased to find that he does as well. And a large group of us here in town ride motorcycles. I've got 2 daughters. Both going to college, and that in itself is a 100%.
That's congratulations.
Yeah, I just love them to death, and of course my wife, and I really enjoy traveling, going to San Francisco, going fishing, whatever it is. And just.
Do you ski, Twig?
You know, I've been skiing since 1972 when I graduated from high school, and I haven't gone skiing yet this year.
Oh no, that's a crime.
And you know what is? There's other things I enjoy doing, and skiing's kind of gone in the back burner.
Twig, I learned to ski late in life. I started when I was 30, and people always said, well, don't worry, you don't have far to fall. So what do they tell you?
People don't talk to me, actually. That's probably why I don't ski.
Am I the only one?
Yeah, you're the first person. I'm really lonely when I ski. So.
You and Lindy and I should all go out skiing together.
Yeah, you know, I'm going skiing next Thursday with Bob Bell and a big friend of mine, and he's dragging me out. But I got to tell you, this time of year, March and April right now, I'm sure everybody's watching this this is just really a rotten time of year. And it's really hard to be motivated about skiing. It's like, it's supposed to be spring.
It is. And well, it is. The official start of spring is as we tape this show, and that means that we're due for another 3 feet of snow by the end of the month.
Yeah.
But it's difficult up here because we really don't get a spring. We do get a wonderful fall and great winter and a great summer, but spring is sort of a miss for us.
Yeah, that's.
So you get the bike and take it off the mountain and.
Yeah, I store it in Reno, and I hate it right now, so I go to Reno and ride around. Yeah.
Well, this is about the time of year when most Truckleedites are off in the desert or in Mexico or Hawaii.
I'm looking forward to damn retired so I can go where it's warm, but.
Well, what's next for you, Twig? You're sort of at the top of the food chain here in Truckee. Do you want to?
This is it. I've reached my pinnacle in the fire service, and I like this fire department. I'm looking at maybe 6 more years probably, and I'll be satisfied with that'll be probably 34, 35 years in the fire service, and I don't know, I'll wait and see.
You can drive Lindy crazy if you retire.
Yeah, it's, what is it, twice the man and half the money.
And that's not what you bargained for necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll be happy when I retire. Yeah, sure.
And your girls are going off to college? Or
Gone.
Gone already?
Yep.
So you're an empty nester too?
Yep.
So you're just riding the motorcycle and that's it? Not skiing? I can't believe there's tiddlywinks.
Well, yeah, I do a lot of other stuff,
I
but
know
that's
there's
none of your
stuff in your
business.
back. No, I'm digging, Twig. I promised you that we would ask some really deep questions on the show.
Well, some of it, if I tell you, I'd probably get in trouble.
Well,
no, just kidding.
Lindy?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, no, it's actually, bless her heart, is getting reacquainted with my wife.
Yeah, yeah.
You have teenagers in the house for like 100 years, it seems like. In Truckee, and this is a tough place to raise teenagers, special town for teenagers, and I mean, they're out in the world, and we're really proud of them, and we're starting to figure out how to do stuff together.
Yeah, be a couple again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
What have been some of your happier memories here, either as fire chief or just living in Truckee? What's been really good for you here?
Well, and like I say, I lived here with a family that was, oddly enough, he was a commissioner on the fire department. You know, back then, I didn't know that was going to be an issue, and his wife was a principal in the school system. Is when I stayed with him. That's the fondest memories I have of water skiing on Donner Lake and in a motel on Donner Lake, back when Truckee was really something special. And so I always goes back to that. And then I think just the friendships and the people that I've met here, this is a really unique community, is the people that it attracts. And when I look back on Truckee, it's going to be the people and then the location, what drew me here, the things that you can do here. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a fun place to live.
It is.
Except for March.
Yeah, right. I find myself getting cranky, and probably for the first time since I've lived here. It's March and I'm cranky. I want it to be spring, and I want it to be warm, and I want to get in my kayak and on my mountain bike, and
yeah,
I'm
I'm
ready.
a summer person here. People, what do you live in Truckee for in the winter if you don't like to ski anymore? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
It's a good job, and
Yeah.
you know, I enjoy I enjoy that aspect of it. But you know, I feel pretty good about the fire department. I've had a chance in the last 4 or 5 years to really put my fingerprints on it. Mm-hmm. And right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm happy with the way it's going.
I think that's great. I think that a lot of people in town are very proud of you and glad for the job that you're doing here. And that's why people say, gee, get Twig on the show. He'd be interesting. But I've almost been afraid to have you on the show because I never know. It's sort of like having Norm Saylor on the show. You know, what's going to happen? What are you going to say?
No, Norm's much more colorful, and I'm behaving myself.
And you are behaving yourself.
Yeah,
I'm a little disappointed, actually.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right.
How much time we got left?
Oh, a few minutes anyway.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I'm looking behind us again on the set and looking at the photo of you, and then looking at the photo of our two of our police officers, and there's always sort of unstated competition, if you will, between police and firemen. And is that true, or is that another myth?
Well, in my mind, that'd be like battling with an unarmed enemy.
Right.
I mean, no.
Just flat out.
Joke. No. You know, actually, I don't think so. I'll be coming up in my 31st summer in the fire service, and police and fire clearly have things they have to do, and our paths cross quite a bit because people don't call us to say, hey, how's it going? Everything's good. They call us because something's wrong. And generally, we're there together, and one of the commitments I've made to myself with the hiring of Dan Boone is that I was really going to dedicate myself to making sure that the fire department and the police department are on the same page. And that only works if the parties are willing to do it. And this police department is really willing to do that. And I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting here on TV and I'm sitting here with you. It's a lot of fun, and I don't feel that competitiveness or animosity. I feel that we're looking forward to the next call together, mm-hmm. to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. And I see them having fun to a certain extent on calls together versus kind of circling each other with their hackles up like you might see in like you will see other places. This is unique, and I'm not just blowing smoke here. This is a unique group, both firefighters and police. Trick is hanging on to it.
Right. Right. How do you think that's done? What are your...
It's a tone. The tone is set by the chiefs. Mm-hmm. If the police chief and the fire chief don't get along, be it if Dan and I were both departments within the town, mm-hmm. or if it's a special district and a department of the town. If we agree that we're not going to get along, then the troops are going to follow suit.
Absolutely.
And right now, and Scott Barry, I tell you what. I hired some good folks, and I'm pretty happy with it. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be moments, sure. All in all, it's working out pretty good. There's actually a disaster shift with the police department. Sergeant Dan Johnson, I believe, he's actually been moved in the detectives, which is good because whenever he was on duty, it seemed like there was some kind of mayhem going on in town here, and if it wasn't, you know,
he was our unlucky guy.
Yeah. Or lucky, but I mean, if it wasn't shooting up Cadillacs or burning houses down or something like that, and every time I showed up, there he was, and it was like, I saw him this morning at coffee, and he's in detectives. I went, that's good, you know. But he says he's going to cover a couple shifts in the field here, so we're gearing up. Yeah.
Well, if you get the hazmat trucks out, let me know, Twig, and
Yeah.
I'll stay at home.
Yeah, there's got to be something else that we haven't created.
I'm sure
Yeah.
Sergeant Johnston would be glad to know he's the harbinger of disaster.
Oh, he
for
knows
our
that. I
community.
remind him every time I
Every
see him.
time you see him.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, but you would know something about cooperation, Twig. You have to cooperate not only with other fire protection agencies such as CDF and the Forest Service, but also there's a lot of different other agencies such as SQA, North Tahoe, North Star that you have to interact with.
Oh, absolutely. We have, I work daily with probably 6 or 7 different fire agencies. And our mutual aid is, with our ambulances going to their districts all the time and such. And, but you know, it's the nature of the beast. Firefighters, the chiefs around here, Bill Zahn, Pete Banson, Dwayne Whitelaw, they're all fantastic people. They make it way too easy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's
considering
not
the
an issue.
overlap, you could really get into some turf wars. If
There is flat out, there isn't turf wars here. Once again, I mean, that sounds like it's too good to be true, but I'm blessed with these guys. They are
or you're
really,
living in a hallucinatory state.
yeah, I could be,
Yeah.
but that was a long time ago. But they're,
Oh, now we're going to
yeah,
get
see,
to
that's
it.
the stuff I can't
all
talk
right,
about.
okay,
No.
all right.
No, they're good guys, and we get along good, and everybody's real supportive.
Yeah.
And we have to be. None of us are capable of handling our problems alone.
Well, how do you create a team when you have different bureaucracies and different governing agencies?
You just have to.
Again, it's the leaders, it's the chiefs.
You have to. Truckee Fire can't handle many of the buildings that we have in this community if they're on fire, which is not uncommon, and we all have to count on each other. If we have a structure fire in Glenshire, there's an engine from North Star, Squaw, Donner Summit with us. And conversely, if they burn a house down, we're all there. And if we choose to get along, then the people that suffer are the people that need the business. So
That's right, the people
Yeah.
that need you the most.
yeah, so they're great guys, and 2 of them live in the district here, anyways.
Any of you ever go out and rescue a cat from a tree?
No, but I'll tell you a good story. This is awful. God, I hope the kids aren't watching this. The kids probably don't watch this part, do
Parents,
they?
now's the time to put your kids away.
Yeah, no, we got a call for a cat in a tree. Normally we don't go because if the ladder truck's up getting a cat out and a house catches on fire, it's hard to justify.
Right.
So we try to tell people, but then customer service is a big thing. So I get a call from a kid that says, my cat's in the tree. And, well, honey, you know, I've never seen a cat skeleton in a tree. You know, the whole thing. And they go, yeah, but he's been up there 2 days. And I go, well, I'll come out and look. So I go out there, and there's a big snag in the front yard. About 20 feet up, there's a limb and a cat sitting on it, and he's resting his chin on the limb, and he doesn't feel very good. And I'm looking at it, and they go, hey, my kitty. And I said, well, you know, he's going to come down. It'll be okay. And the cat fell out of the tree.
Right then?
Right in front of me,
Oh,
and landed
no.
on the ground, and the kids picked him up, ran in the house, and so I left.
So the fire chief got the cat out of the tree.
I got him out of the tree. I think he just passed out, but I didn't know cats fell out of trees, but yeah.
Terwilliger.
So I told him I was actually, I'm on the Truckee Police Department, and I'm glad I was able to help you.
All right, well, Chief Boone, when you get that call
No, I
about
didn't
the
say
cat,
that. It was kind of sad. The cat's okay.
and that was the end of the story. It was a happy ending.
Cats are durable.
They are durable, and they have several lives to go
Very
through.
durable.
I think I'll keep you away from my cat, however.
Senior cat.
Yeah, well, you just...
Cat's special.
My cat is special. Thank you, Twig. Well, we're going to move right along from that
Okay.
conversation. You know, we just have a couple minutes left because that's how fast 25 minutes can go. What else would you tell us about your experience here in Truckee?
It's just, from my point of view as being a firefighter in Truckee, it's been great. And there's been some bumpy roads with incorporation of the town, questions whether special districts should exist after the town's incorporated, and they're valid questions. I'm really interested in pursuing a joint facility.
Yes.
Perhaps the government agencies get together and start thinking that way. And just watching this whole thing evolve, council members are good middle-of-the-road people now, I think, that are looking at things. Things have settled down, you know, as far as politics. You know, other than if funding goes down the tubes or something, I think the next 5 years are going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting from a growth and a development standpoint as
Yeah.
well. But I appreciate what you say about the cooperation. What you were referring to, of course, is that the town is also looking at a permanent town hall site and has a citizens committee working on that. And one of the things that we've been talking about is the opportunity for interagency cooperation and housing really.
You bet. I mean, I'm sitting on the committee now. Your town manager asked me to join him, and good thing, good stuff going on.
It is good stuff going
Yeah.
on. Twig, it's been really fun having you here. And it's been fun knowing you in town. I'm glad you're one of the few I've gotten to really get to know.
I can say the same thing.
Yeah, thanks. And
Thanks,
thanks for
Maya.
being on the show. Again,
You
we've
bet.
been talking with Chief Michael Terwilliger from the Truckee Fire Protection District. And thanks. We'll see you
bet.
again on the show.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to some of those personal questions about his hobbies later on in the next show. We'll be back in just a minute with some updates and events going on in town, so hang on just a minute. We'll be right back.